Good morning, and indeed it is morning arena this beautiful Tuesday morning on Nasarawa Broadcasting Service, where the best of information, enlightenment, and education comes your way. I am Hashi Ibrahim. I will be your guide on the program today, and I tell you it's going to be very informing, enlightening, and very educating, as I have a very important and interesting issue to discuss with me here. And I tell you, I have some experts, some specialists who are here with me in the studio, where we're going to be giving you the very best of the information and enlightenment you need. Good morning, gentlemen. Yeah, from my immediate right, I have Mr. Paul Obidike. He is the convener of Heal the World initiative based here in Lafia. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
And next to him is Dr. Abu Cletus, Director, Olivet Medical Center here in Lafia. I'm sure a lot of parents out there that is the doctor of the children. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right, it is the joy of every parent to be blessed with a child, and not just having a child, but a healthy child in our society, because a child is a person who has not attained maturity or the age of legal majority. However, children are the anchors that hold a mother to life. Well, making terms with reality, with things as they are, is a full-time business for the child. Therefore, the individual need of each child with a disability must be considered when the individual education plan is written, and needs to consider the general classroom as the starting point. But most times this is not being achieved, and it is for this reason that we deemed it fit this morning to come in with this gentleman, where they'll be enlightening and informing us about some certain things that we really take for granted, or we do not really know. And I tell you, this morning we're going to be talking about children with special needs. Who are these children that need special attention? Who are these children that have been referred to as children with special need? Well, let me start with Mr. Paul Obidike, who is the convener of the Heal the World initiative. Mr. Paul, who are these children that have been referred to children with special needs?
Okay, there are a lot of them. You know, there are children with autism, there are children with cerebral palsy, and there are children with Down syndrome. My focus for this program is on children with Down syndrome.
So throw more light on this terminology, Down syndrome.
Actually, Down syndrome is actually from the name of the doctor who actually discovered this syndrome. Yes, his name is Mr. Down. Okay. So over time, when they discovered it, they now named it Down syndrome. Okay. So why the focus is on this is that March 21st is World Down Syndrome Day. So I thought of, okay, I think it's very important to
well, we will actually be getting to that, yeah, because we just want to know who are these children that actually need special attention, since we're talking about children with special needs. Well, Dr. Abu, being an expert and a specialist,
yes,
I'm sure you have more light to throw on these children. Who are they?
Yeah. Like the convener has just said, the focus this morning is essentially on Down syndrome. You asked a question earlier to throw light on Down syndrome, and he told you the name of the person.
Because I was going to say, if I make a discovery, I'll be named after that
exactly,
discovery.
That's right. So let's get a little bit into what the Down syndrome really is. The Down syndrome is a kind of disease condition which is as a result of disorder in what we call chromosome in the body of those people. And there is a particular type of or set of chromosomes or number of chromosomes that are involved. Those chromosomes are the number 21 pair of the chromosomes in the body. And that is why they call it trisomy 21. If we might want to know a little bit more. Okay. I would want to use language that the common man will understand instead of going to too much technical words, because it's not going to benefit the public.
Exactly.
Now, first and foremost, for you to understand what the Down syndrome is, we have to understand, first of all, the principle of cell. The cell, in a layman's language, is the smallest basic unit of the tissues that make us body.
Doctor, let me just cut you short.
Yes.
Here. I think can you just give us a description of this group of children?
All right.
How do they look like?
Beautiful. Let's look at it from the time that the child is born. If the baby is delivered, there are physical features that when you see in the child, you should be able to say this baby has Down syndrome or trisomy 21. Number one, at birth, usually when a child is born, he kicks. He's strong, but in their own case, they are floppy. Their muscles, their body is not as strong as the other baby that put hand, is just floppy.
They are not active.
They are not active. That's number one. Number two, if you look at their face when they are delivered, there are some features that when you see, you say this child has Down syndrome. Number one, you see the opening between the eyelids or the slit. Normally in ordinary person, it goes almost horizontally. But in their own, if you look at their own, instead of horizontal, at the outer side of that line, what we would like to call the lateral part of the face. Okay, that's technical. Instead of being going straight that way, it goes up, slants upward. In other words, if you look at the eye, the setting is different from the other people.
So basically, these are some of the features.
Yes. Number two, if you look at the ear, the pinna, if you draw a line from the normal side of the eye to the back, where we used to put eyeglass, the ear usually overshoot it. But they have what we call low-set ears. Their ear is a little bit smaller than normal and a little bit on the lower side, a little lower, or just about that line. Then if you look at the inner part of the eye on their face, you will see that what we call epicanthal folds. You see kind of like a fold of swelling in the lower part of their eye.
Nice. And
their tongue usually is larger than normal.
Okay.
If you look at the back of the head, it is flattened. And if you look at around the nose and the bridge of the nose is flatter than normal. So these are some
of the signs of Down syndrome in children. Okay, what are the causes of their deformity?
Okay, exactly. I think I was trying to
go
into that before. The cause is abnormality in chromosome in those individuals. First of all, what is the chromosome? The chromosome is, no matter how we try to, reduce the word, there are technical words that must definitely come in.
I was wondering if there could be a different word for that.
It's a large molecule of DNA that has segments called genes, which is the blueprint, which carries genetic information about every species of human being. In the human being, we have 46 chromosomes. And these 46, it is such that 23 comes from the male, 23 came from the female that form the child. So these 46, usually they are arranged in pairs. The ones that have similarity in characteristics in terms of the kind of character that the genes they contain control. So the one from the mother and the father, they form pair. In different, so that's how they are arranged. Now, so every normal human being is supposed to have this chromosome, a pair, that is 222. But in the case of the Down syndrome, instead of them having two pairs, I mean a pair, that is two chromosomes, they have another one joining it. It may be a whole length of a chromosome or a long length of it. That is why we now tri is from 3, somi. That is why we call trisomy 21. And it is only the 21st pair that has this abnormality. So that's exactly what causes it.
All right. Moving away from some of these technical jargons that the doctor is given to us on the causes of their deformity, who are responsible for the special attention of this group of children?
Okay. We are supposed to be responsible. The society, the family, the community. Okay? But it usually just happens that Nigeria, it's a very large religious country. So because of the understanding of our religiosity, it tends to influence what we understand about these persons with Down syndrome. So there's always this, stigma. You put them aside, there's one spiritual thing attached, there's this thing attached, maybe somebody from the village has made this possible. And because of that, they are stigmatized. There are stories, if I want to start counting. There is a research I did, there's one Vivian Okafor. She died in 2004 because nothing was known about Down syndrome. There's an inclusive education in Plateau State, but it didn't just take care of the health part. It was just specifically on the education. Okay, she goes to school, but it's beyond that. Because nothing was known about that, she continued going to school. Then one day, because of the respiratory issues they usually have, she slumped in school. And nobody knew anything about it. And before you know,
so you're trying to tell us that there is a special care attached to...
Yes, there should be.
But it's lacking there.
It's lacking in our society. It's so unfortunate.
All right, Doctor, we just had Mr. Paul telling us those who are responsible for the special attention. And earlier you were giving us some jargons, some terminologies.
Yeah, I'll reduce that now.
All right, now, can this deformity be corrected after birth or before birth?
In terms of correcting the error, it is impossible because the chromosomes are already there all over the body, and the genes that control the different characteristics of the body are inbuilt there. So there's nothing you can do about it. But the only thing you can do is that, like you rightly say, there are some conditions, disease conditions that are associated with this abnormality, which can be handled. Number one is what you said. They are more vulnerable to have chest infection. They have those that have respiratory tract infection frequently. Another common disease condition that they have is congenital heart disease. It could be valvular problem, it could be endocardial problem, whatever it is. These ones are treatable. The congenital heart disease could be, depending on what it is, could be corrected surgically. And respiratory chest infection, respiratory infection is treated as soon as we notice any sign of that. So you can only treat the diseases that are often associated with Down syndrome. But this Down syndrome itself is not correctable. It's an inborn error.
So, doctor, is there anything that can be done before the conceive?
Yeah.
At the conceiving stage or something?
All right. I think in that direction we might be thinking of preventive measures or prevention. Is that what you tried?
Yes,
yes.
Yes.
Okay. The only way that one can handle is number one, if proper scanning is done and the child has Down syndrome, it is detectable.
Okay. At that early stage?
At that early stage,
okay.
The pregnancy. Number two, there are some examinations that can be done from the sample of the amniotic fluid and other things, and we'll be able to discover that, yes, this child has Down syndrome. But then, whatever thing you do from there now borders on laws of the land, ethical value, and religious issues. Would you want to say, okay, because I discovered that this child is having Down syndrome, do we do anything about it? Which God doesn't like. That is one.
Where the religion comes
exactly.
to play.
That is where and of course, many government of most countries don't permit such. Morally, it's not right. And me too, I don't support it. Another area is that we know the kind of parents that are more likely to give birth to Down syndrome. Number one, elderly mothers from 45 years and above. Elderly fathers too. So, since we know that children that are delivered to elderly parents are more likely to develop Down syndrome than others, then the issue is, first of all, is to have your children within
early
age. Yeah. And not only to help in preventing Down syndrome, it will also bring up children that parents will be able to train at their viable years, productive years, active years. So those are the only things that one can do in terms of trying to prevent it. Otherwise, there's nothing else you can do.
All right, what type of assistance do they actually need to improve their condition, doctor?
Sorry?
What type of assistance do this particular group of children need to improve their condition?
Yes, okay. Like we have just said, when the child is born, number one, their milestone, the rate of their development is lower than other children. By the time they are supposed to probably start sitting, they are not yet sitting, still floppy. By the time they are supposed to start crawling, they are not crawling. By the time they are supposed to walk, they are not able to walk. It means they need an extra attention of the caregiver. You must not be frustrated. So they need extra care, more intensive support at their early age than other people. Secondly, as they are growing, most of them have mental retardation. And that means that their ability to study, reason, and other things is quite low. And of course, if by the time somebody is about 6, 7, 8 years and some things he's supposed to be able to do is not able to do it, it means he will need the assistance of somebody. And because of that, they will need people to guide them most of the time.
Exactly.
Most of the time in their life. Some of them could get strong enough to go to school, have some level of intelligence, depending on the level of the clinical manifestation.
All right, in case you're just joining us, the program is Morning Arena this beautiful Tuesday morning, where we're giving you the best of information, enlightenment. And I've been talking with some experts here in the studio on children with special need. I've been talking with Dr. Abu Cletus. He's the director of Olivet Medical Center here in Lafia, alongside Mr. Paul Obidiki. He is the convener of Heal the World initiative based here in Lafia. Remember, every 21st is set to be a day to mark children with special needs, and as part of marking that day, which by the 21st of March is going to be the day celebration, we have this clip to pass something very important, something very good as a message to mark this special day, something done by Mr. Paul Obidiki. Just watch this and we'll be right back. And I tell you, that was Mr. Paul Obidiki, the convener of Heal the World initiative, and he just did that as a mark or as a significance to something. And I tell you, he's still here with us in the studio. He's going to be telling us, because I saw him earlier with dreadlocks, and here he is without the dreadlocks on him. So I was wondering why, and why? What is the significance of actually going on a low cut?
Well, first of all, the thought of that took me almost like forever. I was just imagining, am I sure I'm going to actually take this off? Because for years, I mean, over 20 years plus, I've been
100.
Yes. And actually did that for a reason. And one of the main reasons, the most important reason, it's passion and love for persons living with Down syndrome. I've worked with persons with special needs for a long time. And throughout this period, I've had one-on-one encounter with them. But at the end of the day, there's something just special about those with Down syndrome. And I said to myself, I don't think there's anything more I can do for them.
Tell us
than
that's
to give away
something special. Tell us that's something special about them. Tell us.
Well, persons with Down syndrome have this level of sincerity, honesty, and their show of love it's undefinable. You can't define it. The way they express love to the other person, it's indescribable. I mean, that's the word to use, because the one-on-one encounter I've had with them, there's this Jude, when I was working with Down Syndrome Foundation in Lagos, he did something extraordinary one morning, because I was living with them. So it's not just I come to work, I live with them and eat and do everything with them. One of the children with Down syndrome, his name is Yemi. He had a little swollen this thing on the ankle, and we were to wake up and go for the normal morning devotion in the morning. And Jude got up, and Yemi was trying to calm down because of the ball and the ankle. It was painful for him. From there, Jude just told him, Yemi, please, can you wait? Let me help you. I mean, it was touching for me. It means that even as he's waking up, he has started to think about the care for the other person, you know. And that little act has kept on ringing in my mind. And I just said to myself, I don't think there's any other way to show them how I love them by giving up something that is dear to me.
And you feel the dreadlocks is so dear to you.
Yes, it is, because like all my life I've been carrying that. So persons who see me these days say, what's happening?
All right, that was a nice word there. What is the significance of, what are your plans for the children?
Okay, first of all, before I came up with this, I did a little research in the North Central. I noticed that there is no home, there is no center, there is no awareness for persons living with Down syndrome in this region. I even, funny enough, yesterday as I was going back home, there's a family friend I stopped over and told her about it. And she said, Down syndrome, are they not this Amajiri? She just said, so I just said to myself, you can just imagine, okay? So the idea is starting with the level of awareness creation. And my focus is awareness creation that is inclusive in nature. That as the government and our community and societies, they are planning for anything, they should know that they are members of this society that are living with special needs. So attention and every kind of opportunity should be created for them. So that is my starting point. So anything I'm doing, the going bold I am doing now is awareness creation and asking for inclusion for those with special needs, Down syndrome particularly. Right.
Dr. Abu, we won't want you to leave the studio without a word of advice to parents, to couple, especially you made mention of having children at the ripe age is actually going to help in curtailing some of this situation we're having as far as Down syndrome is concerned.
Number one, the advice I will give to parents is it's a kind of summary of what we have said before. Number one, I want parents that have any child that is a Down syndrome patient in their family to know that apart from that disorder, they are normal human beings. Because the tendency is stories will come, they say this one is not a normal child, this one is neck, this one is that. It's not. It's just that he had an abnormality while the child was being formed in the womb. So it's not a bad woman in the family, it's just an unfortunate child. And any unfortunate person needs mercy. So any family that has such, they shouldn't be feel frustrated, feel discouraged, feel if it were possible, we find a way of discarding. But rather, have love for them, try to see how you can care for them, send them to hospital for care, find out as they are growing where they can get special school where they'll be able to be trained to become useful to themselves. And we should try as much as possible to avoid having children when a man is 60 years, a woman is about 50 years, still looking for children. It's not apart from Down syndrome, many other things will happen, other deformities in the children, risks on the mother. So parents should avoid being parents at elderly age.
All right. Mr. Paul, I'm sure you have a hope for the children. What's your hope for them?
Well, just like a starter, when I said the idea is awareness creation, the hope I have for them is, first of all, let us understand that they have a life just like every other person. It's true that their situations have warranted to this situation where they are condition they found themselves, but if they are given all the necessary attention, love, and care, they will live and become great persons like any other person. In fact, let me just give you a practical example. There is this Australian girl, she's 29 plus now. Her name is Madeleine Stuart. Maybe people will Google and know about her. She is a model celebrity now, and she's living with Down syndrome. So if they can do it there, why can't we do it here? So my hope is a society, an inclusive society that have the necessary plan and opportunity for persons living with Down syndrome. If that is possible, I think they will live their fulfilled life like every other normal human being. They have goals and dreams.
Exactly.
I have a lot of them that know how to dance, a lot of them that know how to act. So if these capacities are tapped into, I mean, we can have future guys growing up to be wonderful stars in Nigeria.
All right, I want to say thank you very much for coming on the program Morning Arena this morning to enlighten and educate us more on the Down syndrome, and especially as children with special needs. Dr. Abu, I want to say thank you very much, and hope when we call on you next time, you avail yourself despite the schedule in the hospital.
I'll always be available.
All right, and to you, Mr. Paul, keep doing what you're doing best.
Thank you very much.
All right, viewer, that is Dr. Abu Kletus, Director, Olivet Medical Center, Lafia, and Mr. Paul Obidike. He is a convener of Heal the World Initiative here in Lafia, talking to us about children with special needs. Remember, making terms with reality, with things as they are, is a full-time business for you and the child. Try as much as you can to show some love to a child out there. The program Morning Arena will continue after this. Entertainment is something done by Jody, and she says right now, and I mean right now. Keep watching. I'll be right back.